Welcome to the 50th episode of Female Finance Collective, where we encourage women to have open and honest conversations about all things money. In today's episode, kind of kicking off the February love month. Oh, I like to think of it as more of like a time of loving everything, right? Like each other, our families, ourselves, and like it's a really good month to focus on self-care as well. I think we can sometimes get wrapped up in the whole Valentine's Day theme and forget that love comes in many forms and one of the most important ones is how we take care of ourselves. And the truth is that taking care of your finances and focusing on your finances is a form of self-care. And so today we're just going to share a few ways that focusing on your finances is a way to take care of yourself and show yourself some love. And then we're also going to share a few ways that we are personally taking care of our finances to show ourselves a little bit of care. So, Sybil, what is like, if we're chatting about ways that taking care of our finances is self-care. Some people might be like, what are you talking about? Like, that is not self-care. That is stressful and frustrating, and I hate it. So, how can we, like, what is one way that you sort of envision it as a self-care tool?
Well, exactly what you said, Jen, there is thinking about the opposite. If it's giving you stress, then it's something you need to pay attention to figure out how to get rid of that stress, right? Like, and that's the reframe that we're doing this month at the Female Finance Collective is thinking about like, okay, Valentine's Day, we often think about the romance and love, like you said, Jen, but it's also about loving ourselves. And if money is bringing me stress, as it does at many different points in my life, and I'm sure your ladies' lives, then that's an area to focus on self-care and like even eventually start being preventative to that stress, right? Once I get things under more control. And so I think it is a lot of self-care with your finances is feeling in control. Like, what do you need to do to feel like it's not out of your control? It's not happening to you. Instead, you're making it happen for you. And that shift in mindset is a way to start treating yourself more kindly and using more kind words like, I can learn to manage my money. I can learn ways to pay off my debt, or I will learn to save more, right? And we're all about learning here. Like this is a journey. This is for every single one of us. It's self-care financially is very, very different because it depends on where we are and what we want to work on within ourselves, right? But a lot of it is that mental aspect of ridding the negativity of money and stress and bringing in the positive talk and the motivation and the efficacy of feeling like you can do it because every single one of you can. If you're listening to this episode, I know you can. You're taking an important step. So that's the first thing that comes to mind when I'm thinking about financial self-care. Is easing that financial stress, right? Just as you said, is like, what's stressing me out about money? Okay, that's what I need to learn to take care of and practice this month. It's a month of practice of financial self-care too.
We all have a relationship with money. And for me, part of the self care is checking in on that relationship and how I'm feeling. Sometimes I'll be mad at my money or I'll have anxious moments where things just feel a little too overwhelming. But just realizing what your relationship looks like and ways that you could improve it. So, for example, one of the ways can be if you build your financial knowledge, if you check in on your finances, that's helping you develop more confidence when it comes to making decisions with your money. And that's one way that you can actively take some steps to work on your relationship with your money and your finances. And having a positive relationship that, where stress is well managed, where you feel like you are in control, it really does give so many benefits to how you feel, not just related to money, but just how you feel about a lot of the decisions that you're making throughout your life.
I totally agree. I think there's like so much value in that kind of concept, right? Of like feeling more confident, managing your stress, like making that a priority. It doesn't have to be like self-care doesn't have to be like a moment, right? It doesn't have to be like a moment where I like lock the bathroom door and get in the bathtub, or a moment where I'm like, I'm going for a walk. This is intentional. I'm doing this. It can be like a whole vibe that you're creating for yourself, right? Where I'm feeling more confident about my money. I'm feeling less stressed about my money. That is a gift to yourself because though, like, eliminating any source of stress, we can never eliminate all stress, like, let's be real, but we can limit it and we can reduce it and cut it down. And I think that's a huge way to show ourselves some love and take care of ourselves. I think, too, like, if you plan for the future, like showing future you a little love is important as well. Having that like emergency or stockpile fund saved away so that if something comes up, you don't have to feel overwhelmed as overwhelmed by it. Having money put away for that retirement so that you know that at some point right, it's gonna happen. You're concentrating on your future. You're paying your future self. Those are also ways that we can show ourselves a little love, show ourselves some care. Thinking about our future self is sometimes hard to do in the moment when we're really feeling frustrated and overwhelmed, but it's a really like that she's out there waiting and she's going to be really grateful to us when we get there. And we've made that a little bit of a priority as well.
Yeah, completely agree, Jen. Having that empathy for our future selves in the moment is so crucial and makes me feel so much better. It compounds like our money might compound in an investment, right? It's like the little bits you do today, 1% better every day. You guys know that term, like
Mhm.
1%, if that's really what I'm trying to do this month, for my own financial self-care is a little bit every day. And so I've actually been posting in our community, the different things I'm working on, my goals, and I just pulled up my journal. I did some like 2025 road mapping, but then kind of brought it down to just this first quarter. And one of my 4 areas is finance that I'm really focusing on a little bit each day. And I wrote down the way I want to feel is that I want to feel like my side incomes, all of my little businesses, my multiple streams of income are in control, like I said earlier. And I'm doing that by organizing them each separately. And so I've started a spreadsheet for the short-term rental. Now, last night I worked on a spreadsheet for, this is not a business thing, but for my HSA account. How much, did we contribute in 2024? How much did we take out? And so I wrote down 3 action items for that goal. One is to keep separating the items because I'll have to go to bank accounts and make sure I have them in the right place still and filling out these spreadsheets. The second one is I'm trying to use like dashboards for each stream of income. So everything's in one place. And the third one I wrote down is like using free spreadsheets and or apps like Wave, for example, to do accounting for each of these separate streams of income. And I realized when I was doing my reflection, my biggest money stressor was that I was running everything through with our personal accounts too. And so I just didn't feel in control of each of these income streams. And so for me, that's the way I'm sharing self-love with myself financially this month. And I'm doing a little bit each day. And then I'm writing about it in the community because that helps me stay accountable. Because I know that if I can build that as a habit, like yesterday, I was going through all the receipts for our short-term rental, like separating those on our health account, right? And I finally did it. And it just felt so good. I'm like, I can do a little something every day. So that's how I'm really thinking about self-care right now. And then, of course, that's going to help 2025 taxes and all of that too, and me make more money with these different streams of income, right? Because I'm going to have it so much better in control. So my goal for self-care is really around that organizing piece this quarter anyway. What about you guys?
So what I've been doing is I've been continuing my habit of tracking. So every day or two, I have a look at what I've spent, and it really gives me a sense of peace of mind to do that because then I can spot if I'm getting into trouble a lot quicker. There are certain areas that I tend to impulse spend. And I just find having a routine where I'm checking in, it takes a minute or two, just checking in to make sure that I know where my money is going and I can spot patterns that are changing. The other thing that I did is I did have a look at where my money went last year. And I like to do just a pie chart to see what categories I spend money on. And one of the realizations I made is I actually spend very little on my actual self-care. So things like, taking care of my health or, getting a massage or facial, like things like that. I spend very little in those categories. So I've made it a priority that each month for this year, I will do something. So something that is actual self-care. So I'm dedicating some money towards that. And I feel really good about it. And, I think it just makes sense. Like as a mom, sometimes I realize a lot of my money goes towards kids' expenses. And then I feel like there's nothing left for me. So just proactively setting aside, part of my spending plan towards things that make me feel good. It will help me be a better parent, a better partner, a better business owner. So that's, one of the things that I've been looking at this past month.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you're like self-caring. It's like double dipping in your self-care. You're like, let me
Yeah,
manage my money by also directing some money towards other self-care items. I love it.
love it.
I am doing a little financial self-care this month by eliminating stress that I would normally give myself at the end of March or beginning of April. So I committed that this month I would get all of my tax information. So my husband does our taxes. Um, he's a finance guy, that's his career. So I just leave that to him. And so but he's usually coming in my office at some point and being like, "Could I get your things? Like, do you have them for me?" And then I'm annoyed at him because I'm like, "Why are you bothering me? I'm busy." And no, I don't have them for you. And then I feel stressed because I should have already had them done. And then he's annoyed at me because I'm holding him up. And so I committed to myself that I would get all of that figured out by the end of February so that he has it and I'm not holding up him at all. And I'm also not adding stress to myself by like trying to squeeze in time into my already, busy schedule, figuring out when to do it. So I think that I'm self-caring for him, right? As well, because he doesn't have to he doesn't have to get up and harass me and he'll have what he needs. But also I'm just trying to think forward a little bit more when it comes to that stuff. Like just the basic day-to-day finances I'm really good at, but that like I have a growing business that I didn't really have at this point last year was very different. And so I didn't necessarily have systems in place. I sort of set some things up throughout the year, but I didn't have everything really worked out. So this month is about dedicating some time to digging everything out I need and then organizing how I'm going to do that this year to also pay myself a little attention 1 year from now when it's all a little more organized and in the same place. So that is my self-care. People might not think taxes feels like self-care, but procrastination is not self-care, and I am super good at that. And, creating unnecessary stress is also not self-care. And, I'm also sometimes good at that because instead of just doing something in the moment and being done with it, I put it off, which, just adds more stress. So I'm working on that this month.
Amazing. So motivational. Thank you guys both, like for sharing. It really helps. I think motivation is a big step, right? It's getting started and then being motivated to keep going. And so I just absolutely love this theme this month.
Welcome to the 50th episode of Female Finance Collective, where we encourage women to have open and honest conversations about all things money. Today, what we want to do is just share our learnings, the things that we've enjoyed the last 50 weeks, a year of putting this podcast together and chatting about money and really just encouraging women to talk about money and to take the like hush away from money conversation.
I can't believe we've done 50 episodes, ladies. This is amazing. I'm so excited about our collaboration and it's so cool to get there. I've learned so much thinking about money every single week and working on our money and talking about money, like broken the taboo for me at a new level, right? And this podcast is a big reason why, because we're talking about it every week. The three of us get together. It is so cool.
I think it's helped me focus on my finances even more. So I've always been financially focused, but we have a weekly meeting that we've committed to get this podcast made, and it's really, really helped me. It's also a ton of work, and I feel like sometimes the visibility piece I struggle with. It's hard to always kind of be ready and ready to share information. And that part of podcasting, of entrepreneurship in general, it's something that I struggle with. And I really have to push myself. Like I do a lot of pep talks to be able to be present, to share my viewpoints. And it's not always easy. So that's kind of the part I wanted
Yeah.
to share related to podcasting.
Yeah.
I think that is really, really a valuable thing to share. I think that, there are some people who just love putting their life out there, right? And that's kind of their job. They actually make money just telling us about their lives. But for some people, that feels a little bit uncomfortable. And the part that is like the added piece is we're talking about money, which is the thing that for I think like our generation growing up, we were all told you don't talk about money, you don't tell people how much money you make, you don't ask people how much things cost. Like, that's how I grew up. Like, we don't talk about that. And so it's definitely different, right? I think that it hasn't been as hard for me because I'm just an open book and I'll tell anybody anything, but I have had to say to myself like it is okay to tell people about what's happening, right? Like I've had to remind myself and also that people want to know. I
Mhm.
think that
Mhm.
I had to remind myself that my story may not matter to some people, but there are people who can relate and understand, and it feels good for them to have somebody else willing to say, "Hey, I had a ton of debt and it really sucked, and here's the things that how it made me feel, and here's how it's impacted me now." I think it's nice for people to have somebody they can relate to, and for all we've all shared different stories and different ways we feel about money, different interactions we've had, experiences with spending and saving and all of that. And I think my assumption is, and I know gotten feedback that people appreciate that they can connect with those experiences that we share.
Yeah. We're walking the talk, right? We're just like, this is hard, but it's important. And it, like you said, Marilee, it helps us do better with our finances and actually live the life we want to live. And I agree, Jen, like there's been some hard times and money is up and down and it does change, right? Thinking about like the last 50 weeks of episodes, like so many things have changed. We bought a house. I changed into an entrepreneur or started consulting or whatever it is, or the consulting work went away. Like it's always changing, no matter how much I want it to be predictable it is and isn't. And that's why, like, looking back, I'm so glad that we have each other to talk about these things with because one of the episodes I will never forget is the episode I got like really teary-eyed and shared how hard things were at the time, and that was transformational for me looking back. I'm so glad. Thank you, ladies, for having that conversation with me because I put it out there in public and it helped me feel the lows and move to the next place. And the month after that, I saved 1,600 US dollars that month. Like I wouldn't have done that if I hadn't hit that low point and I hadn't talked about it with you. I would have just kept it inside, shoved it down. This is hard, but you're not worthy. You know, da. And instead of like I got out there and I put myself out there and I'm so glad I did. Because we have to feel the lows to have the highs, and our lives are always changing as we're getting older, as you know, whatever circumstances change. So I'm super grateful for you ladies and the last 50 episodes doing this weekly together. It's amazing.
That's such a perfect reminder because this podcast and your money stuff in general, there are those highs and lows that happen as part of growth. Even in the time that we've worked together, I've had a ton of things that didn't go right financially, and then I've had some great wins. And it's just staying on track
Yeah.
and staying on track with our podcasting. I'm sure we've all had times we wanted to give up. And, at the beginning, you feel like you're talking to no one, and it's a lot of effort to talk to no one. But we really enjoy doing this. And it's been very helpful for our individual growth. And I hope that there are people out there that feel motivated with their finances and with their money goals as a result of things we share.
Yeah, and feel more comfortable. I agree with you 100%. I think listening to other people talk about things makes it more comfortable, right?
Yes.
Um, and so I think that that was our goal when we started, and I'm super proud of us that we didn't give up on that and like take the easy way and be like, no, we'll just teach you about this very straightforward thing. We've all been really open about our experiences and things we're proud of and things where we wish we could do different, all of that. And I think that we've just been really bold in how we've kind of kept going forward and kept sharing. And I hope that we are empowering women to do that with their own community, whether it's just one other person or their partner or a friend, where they're feeling more confident, like, okay, if those ladies can do it, I can do it too. And I think that that's just a really powerful thing that I hope we're offering to people because I know that that was part of kind of our goal. And so I'm glad that we have stuck with it for sure because I think that we need more women talking about these types of things and being bold and being brave enough to say, like, here are my mistakes. And I think it's hard for women sometimes to talk about their mistakes. And so I think that we're being bold in that and encouraging other women to be like, hey, your mistakes don't define you. We are a shame-free zone. We're not shaming anyone. We're not shaming ourselves for our money challenges, those highs and lows or mistakes or any of that. And so I hope that we can just continue to do that, right? As we learn and grow. I've also learned a ton. I've learned a ton from you both and the things that you've shared, and then also just forcing myself to think about things, knowing like, oh, here's a topic we're going to talk about. And I've actually learned a ton, even just kind of from myself, like having to reflect and think on things. So I'm grateful for all the learnings that you ladies have shared as well, because it's been really helpful.
It has. You brought up the mistakes and failures and, moving forward. And some of our most popular podcasts, I was just looking back at them, are those episodes about making mistakes. And so we want to remind you, our loyal listeners, thank you for being here because it is hard to build an audience. It's really
Yeah.
hard. So we appreciate you. And remember, it's okay to make those mistakes. Our brains learn more when we make a mistake, acknowledge it, reflect on it, and reframe it and move
Mhm.
forward as a learning opportunity. And talking about this, I agree with you guys, has been transformational in that way because it makes me take that mistake head on and deal with it and move forward. And you know what? I don't know now, thinking back of all the things we've talked about. I don't think there's a woman out there that couldn't relate to some story
Right.
we've shared, right? In some way. And so we really, like Jen said, I hope that this is inspiring you, and I hope that you continue listening with us as we move into 100 podcasts, ladies. Should we do it? Should we set a new goal of recording 100 Female Finance Collective podcasts?
I mean, 2025 seems like a good year to keep going.
Yep.
Yep.